We can begin in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting of the Municipal Heritage Committee to order. And I'll start by reading the land acknowledgement statement for the town of Smiths Falls. On Wednesday, August 17th, 2022, we acknowledge that this sacred land on which Smiths Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smiths Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Does anyone want to add any items to the agenda before we do that? Okay, would someone move that we approve the agenda then, please? Jenny, and a seconder, Chris, thank you. All in favor? Next item is the adoption of the minutes from the last meeting, which was on July 21st. Would someone move that we adopt those minutes? Chris, are you moving that?
I just wanted to declare an interest if item II for the bylaw rewrite included 102 or 110. It doesn't come up in discussion, but if it was part of the package for that, then I'll declare an interest on it.
Right. It's not on the agenda though.
You're right, but it was part of the package for review, Dorothy. Okay. So if I'm not sure if the chair is able to move or second that motion. So if the committee would like, we can defer until we have enough members present to pass the.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about the minutes of the last meeting. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I misunderstood. I'm sorry. Yes, certainly. Would someone move that we adopt those minutes?
I don't think we can because I wasn't there. And but if we could get them updated, just that I declare an interest.
Right. Okay.
And at the next meeting.
We'll defer that to the next meeting then. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Disclosure of monetary interest, anyone? With regards to the current agenda? No, all right. We'll go ahead with the priority issues. First one is the Heritage Conservation District Study, the considerations report. Mary, are you going to speak to this first?
Well, I'm actually, what I'll do is I'll just pass over the baton to Aram here, who is our summer student and who prepared the report. She can give you an overview and ask for any specific feedback she's looking from the committee.
Okay, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Aram, as you might know. So last month we discussed about the Heritage Conservation District in Smiths Falls. Now this month I've prepared a report. So basically, as you see, my report goes through 3 different case studies throughout Ontario, and then next it just look at which are the possible options for a heritage conservation district for Smiths Falls. I'm going to go over it very quickly just to give everyone a short summary. So the first one was the downtown Lindsay option, which was actually around their main street, and then it's very small. It concludes around 4 or 5 blocks, and it's very similar to what we have in Smiths Falls throughout Beckwith Street. So then the first option for Smiths Falls Heritage Conservation District boundary would be to designate a small boundary around Smiths Falls, which would be mostly a commercial HCD. The second option was an example from the town of Perth. So the Perth, there are some similarities between the town of Perth and the town of Smith Falls. The most important one is Perth also has a river going through its main downtown street, and then same for Smith Falls. Beckford Street has an intersection with the canal. So here, Perth has been chosen as a medium-sized district because it includes their commercial area and some of the residential buildings. Well, in case of Smith Falls, if we want to discuss it, we can see that we can include Beckford Street and then some residential areas around it. And there could be potential to also include some of the heritage prone buildings, heritage buildings on the other side of the canal into the HCD. Well, this option is a medium-sized district for Smith Falls, but then it opens up to the third option, which would be a larger district, which not only has a commercial core being Beckford Street, but also encompasses some greater areas of Smith Falls, showing the working class architectural features of heritage buildings in Smith Falls. So in the report, I first explained about the benefits and opportunities and overall the goal of what are each HCDs, like being small, medium-sized, or a larger one are, and what are the benefits for each of these cities and towns. And then finally, I compared it with the town of Smith Falls. Well, something I want to keep in mind is that this report is not to directly advise the planning or the MHC about which option is the best. However, it's something just to show you options. What are the possible options in the town? And then in the very first page or cover page, you can see a diversity of heritage buildings in Smith Falls. Some of them have been recognized, some of them have not, and then and they are all scattered around these three presented boundary options. Thank you. And mostly I'm looking for your feedback for this report, and yeah.
Okay, I'll let Chris and Jenny comment first, if there's something you'd like to say. Jenny?
Thank you so much, Arana. It was a very interesting report. I had just a question. There was a comment about Parks Canada. And if we took the district over the canal, they would be consulted because they're a property owner. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I think for me, a smaller district is appealing because it's our first project and it seems more manageable. But in my perfect world, this runs from like the Rockland House to the library with a street on either side parallel to Beckwith, which is, I think, a large undertaking, but that's my ideal. I did have another question about one of the images. I think it was the smaller district on figure 8. I'm just wondering if when it goes over to Market Street, are you getting both sides of Market or just the west side? I couldn't tell if it included the other side of the street as well.
Yeah, so this is just a preliminary study. So I did not went into each area and took photos of each building specifically. So I don't know, that was part of the proposed master student area as well. And so this is not a set in stone boundary. This is just a boundary to tell you that's the smaller area. Well, now if you choose to go with the smaller one, in the next phase is doing a proper heritage research. They will define that if that, let's say you said south side of the main, which street you said should be included or not.
Market, yeah, on Market, both sides of the street.
Yeah, so that's something which needs to be answered in the thorough research.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to see both sides because you could potentially pick up like the United Church and the Armory as well. And if it could go onto Chamber, you could get the Capitol Theater as well, just ideally. But those are my only comments.
Thank you, Jenny. And Chris, would you like to comment?
For sure. Thanks a lot, Aram. This is awesome to read through, and appreciate everything you've done for us at the town this summer. I'm on the other side of the spectrum. I'm a little bit bigger, the bigger, better, maybe. I think I'd really like to see the canal corridor included. When we think about like Mill Road with the water treatment plant, and then down Park Avenue, as much as there's not really important heritage assets on all of those streets, there's also an opportunity that if development was to happen there, that you could have something that could really affect what we're used to, or change what we're used to having now, where it could negatively impact the neighboring properties. So I guess that's my rationale on that one. I like the CIP boundary. To me, made a lot of sense because it kind of encompassed that. I liked having Elmsley Street on it, as long as it's got both sides of Elmsley Street, because I think, again, thinking with the Lapin development, it's a great example, but there could have, you could have, something that wouldn't have been as sympathetic got in there, it could have affected that neighborhood. I think, yeah, and Lombard Street was the other part I was thinking of, that other side of the canal corridor. As much as there's not, I don't think we have anything on the properties of interest list outside of the Rockland House, but at the same time, the wrong kind of development in there could really change that corridor. So that was kind of my first impression on it.
I'd agree with Chris and Jenny. If a street is a boundary, it would be much better if it was both sides of that street. Elmsley Street being a good example of that. And also, I'm thinking we have historic churches in Smith Falls, and it would be nice if the boundary took them in, if at all possible. I really liked your the way you worked out the three different sizes of district, and then you compared to another town that had gone through the similar process. So I thought it was useful and informative as a first step. So thank you.
Thank you. And finally, I would like to mention that we didn't talk about it today, but there is also a fourth option for Smith Falls, that it could have smaller but multiple boundaries. So going back to Jenny's comment saying this is the first HCD that Smith Falls is doing. So maybe if the town choose to go with the smaller one, they could go the smaller and first one being like just commercial, and then in the next phases, the town can say we have another district which is merely for commercial, and then in this way the town can have multiple but smaller boundaries. Yeah.
Excuse me,
So
Madam Chair. Sorry, I just wanted to
Yes.
chime in real quick. There's a couple of points in this discussion that I just wanted to speak to. So the first one being, Jenny, you mentioned if Parks Canada would be consulted as a property owner. That is correct, but they'd also likely be consulted as a regulatory body, given the fact that many properties adjacent to or within vicinity of the canal, they do play a regulatory role on that. And just to ensure and provide any clarification regarding the boundary area. As Aram was saying, this is preliminary. So whether certain properties will be included or excluded will ultimately be determined through the HCD study. So this isn't, at this point, this exercise is just suggesting general areas of whether or not the committee would want to seek small, medium, or large size HCD study, so that a future consultant can essentially tell us specifically where those boundary lines should lie and which properties would be included versus excluded.
So were you wanting the committee to comment on that today, Mary and Carl, as to our which we would prefer? because we do have 3 members absent.
Carl, would you like to speak to that?
Sure. And yes, Madam Chair, I think it's certainly we don't have we don't have everyone present, so the committee may wish to defer that. But I think in terms of broadly what staff were looking for and what we had been working on with Aram was just providing that broad look of this is what a large HCD can mean and what are its implications. Cost is an implication, since we have to notify, we'd be registering this on title as an example. But this is what a large one could look like, and these are the considerations. This is what a medium would look like, and these are the considerations. Or this one was a small one. So I think broadly what we were looking for from the committee, either tonight or after the next meeting, once we've had the opportunity to review with the other members, is just broad direction as to which approach the committee prefers. Do you want to look at a smaller one, a medium one, or a larger one? Or as Aram said, potentially in the longer term plan, we can do a smaller one now, and then potentially others in the future once we've had a bit of experience working with them. And that option is available from the committee. But I think just broadly speaking, at this point, we'd welcome the committee's direction on sort of what approach you favor now, understanding that boundaries and some of the exact parameters are going to obviously be refined based on what's been identified by a consultant.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Any further discussion on this agenda item? No, hearing none. Well, thank you very much, Aram, for your hard work and your presentation. That's very useful for us going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and good evening.
Next item on the agenda, I think is also something that we might want to defer. But I'll just explain why I put it there. I just was wondering whether or not the committee was interested in pursuing additional heritage designations from our rather extensive properties of interest list. But we would need a subcommittee to consider that, and I don't think that we can really convene a subcommittee with 3 of our members being absent. So if we could put that on next month's agenda. And Mary, if you could, if you have a chance to update that properties of interest list.
Yes, I apologize. I actually started it today, but I have to get the resolution number. So I expect I will have that to you all shortly.
And then whoever's the people that form the subcommittee will have that information available when they meet.
Yes.
Do you want to comment on that, Chris or Jenny? Is it something that you think we should pursue? More designations, Chris?
I'm always in favor of more designations. I just, I want to put it out there that with the term ending, I think our term ends the end of October kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're running out of time, but I hope everybody's planning on reapplying and coming back for 2022 to 2026 MHC. So there's, yeah, I guess there's no, it'd be great to, it'd be great to get more properties listed.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Sorry, just a moment, because I'm deferring the reconvening of the subcommittee to the September agenda. But would you like the HCD report to also come forward next month? Hopefully more committee members will be in attendance.
Yes, yes, please.
Thank
And
you.
if next month we decide that, it's not the appropriate time to reconvene the subcommittee, then we can deal with that next month.
Perfect.
Okay. Project updates are next. The heritage pedestals, maintenance efforts.
Okay, so I guess that's me. So as some of you will recall, we attempted to put this on the agenda last month, but when we had limited availability for a last minute change in schedule, we removed the heritage pedestals from the agenda. After discussion with Dorothy, I went through the inventory of damages done to the heritage pedestals, and I've been reaching out to other municipal departments to see when we can get these fixed essentially. So what I do know is that the initial effort for the heritage pedestals actually came from the Heritage House Museum. So they're very happy to see that the MHC is paying close attention to the inventory and the maintenance of these. So in that sense, I have engaged economic development because Heritage House falls under their purview. I'm also engaging regarding one pedestal specifically on the corner of Market and William that looks like it may have gotten hit by a snowplow. So I'm speaking to Public Works to see if there's any opportunity for them to assist with the cost for that. So I don't have any definitive answers yet because obviously these maintenance costs were not budgeted for this year, but provided they're relatively low, I'm hoping that I can get a quick turnaround so that they're in good condition, if not for this fall, next spring.
Yes, thank you, Mary. I was wondering about that, the budgeting of the maintenance of these, because it seems that maintenance will be ongoing.
Yeah.
There'll be vandalism or if we want to keep them looking nice. Anyway, thank you for that. Next item is the heritage research on 11 Market Street South. Do you have any update on that?
Yeah, so last month I gave you a quick update that we were proceeding in accordance with the procurement policy. So what I will say is that we have retained a consultant. We do have research underway. So we're expecting some information in our court in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
That's excellent. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else want to comment on that, or we're being speedy today? I guess it's because there aren't as many of us. We'll move on to round table then. And start with Carl. There, taken by surprise.
Hello. Yes, nothing. I don't have a whole lot to add, but just a quick heads up for the committee that the council has asked us to review all of the mandates and functions of all of the standing committees and committees of council that we have in the town. I believe there's 31 of them, many of which don't meet on a regular basis. We're one of the ones that do meet on a regular basis, but likely at the September meeting, Mary will be bringing forward a report to open the discussion with this group, just on the terms of reference, and sort of looking to see if this is, are we fulfilling the mandate that you believe we should be doing, or should we be evolving? I think it's likely that this committee is probably going to, I don't want to prejudice any future decisions of council, but it seems likely to me that this committee will likely continue to function in a role very similar to what we do right now as with statutory and non-statutory obligations, but I think it gives us a great opportunity to do a little bit of visioning in terms of what we want a municipal heritage committee to do, and that might inform some updates to the terms of reference. So stay tuned for what could be a very interesting conversation in September.
Thank you, Carl. Jenny, do you have anything for roundtable?
Not that I can think of, just looking forward to meeting in person again whenever that's possible.
What progress is being made on the completion of the town hall renovations? That reminded me of that question. We know when we're going to have a room that we can meet in?
I don't have an update beyond what was presented to council. I think a few weeks ago. I believe they're still targeting October for the town hall renos to be complete, but I don't know if that's still on target or if that's changed.
Okay, thanks. Chris, do you have anything?
Yeah, I don't know a date either, but really neat to see the doors go in the hose tower. And I noticed when I was walking by yesterday that they've got the stonework finished at the side, the Church Street door that they removed, and are putting the window in. So I think the next step is they're going to narrow that window into the shape it's supposed to be, and then that'll be back to what it was originally when it was built, I guess. And then there's another cool thing on the window when you're going in where the arch is, there's a window up on the right on the second floor that had been modified in the 70s to be smaller. And it's getting expanded to be the right size, so it'll fit with all the other windows on the walls. So neat to see some of that stuff happening, and hopefully we're in there soon. And for the committee review, I'm hoping there's nothing that would stop us from having younger members on this committee. If there were students at the high school that were really passionate about heritage and wanted to get involved, I'm hoping maybe that can be something that can come out of this. So really looking forward to those conversations. So thanks a lot, everybody.
I would like to, well, first of all, just inform the committee that on Monday, I will be presenting to council along with the staff reports, of course, the revised bylaws, the template, and the 3 new designations. And I think that Mary and I have that all ready to go now. The other thing is that I walked by the old water treatment plant the other day, and it looks to me as if vandals are having a go at the front of the building now. I don't think any town staff would have done this. There are those 3 stone pillars at the front entrance. One of them is pretty well demolished and the stones are on the ground. And the other 2 have been hacked at, but they haven't fallen down yet. So I'm just bringing it to your attention, Carl and Mary, if you could pass on that information within town hall. I don't know how those features can be protected because they're on the outside, but it's sad to see that vandalism continues.
That is disappointing, but thank you for bringing
Very.
it to my attention.
Yeah,
I think we lost Mary, so I'll.
I think that they were mentioned in the revised draft bylaw as a heritage feature. If they are called piers are mentioned. So I would assume, the front entrance, it certainly has some heritage features. I don't think we have anything else, and if we've lost Mary, I can't ask her to contribute to round tables. So the next item is the next meeting, which would normally be September 21st. But as I said at the last meeting, I won't be here. So if the committee wishes for me to chair the meeting, we could move it to the 28th of September, or alternately, another committee member could chair the meeting. So, Chris?
The 28th would work for me if it works for other people.
Is that okay with you, Jenny?
Works for me.
Okay, that's great. And if Mary could just canvass the other committee members and see if that's all right with them, then we could meet on the 28th instead. All right. So a motion to adjourn, unless there's anything else we want to talk about. Okay, a motion to adjourn then. Chris, thank you. Meeting